and it is a proven thing. It works. And the other thing is, well, we will have a pie in front of us. Okay, we will have a pie in front of us at some point, and this is how it goes for the sharing of this pie. And you have to make that proposition in a way that people trust, right? Based on some data and based on a sort of an algorithm. And here I have to add something, is that when we started to do that, people were thinking that we're trying to quantify value, which is a totally different, which is a totally misunderstanding of what we were doing. As you know, our definition of value is value is what moves people into action. That's our working definition of value. So it's a subjective experience. It's not something that, it's not a substance that lives out there that we can store and produce and exchange. It's not such thing. It's just an experience that we as individuals live. That's not something that we can share actually. But we can share stories about what I feel about what is my experience, value experience about something. So this is our working experience. And so in my opinion, value cannot be not even quantified. It can't be quantified. You can't quantify human experiences. And as a matter of fact, I could pay $10 for an ice cream on a hot day, and you can even give it for free to me at -20 here in Canada. I wouldn't take it. Okay, so you see how value is not just a subjective experience or in a moment, but it changes with time with an individual. So yeah, it can be quantified. So by doing that, we're not trying to quantify the value. What we're trying to say is let's agree on something, you know. So we're trying to generate a sense of fairness and provide something that people can hang on, and it feels real. Okay, it's a little bit like somebody was saying in the other room. Well, money is because people attribute value to money because they believe in it, you know. Well, that's if we want to recreate something like that, you know. So people believe in the system. In the end, they say, okay, so we have some data that is logged somewhere, and there is a promise, and there is an algorithm, and you know what? It might not in this particular project, I might not do, might not be. Oh, who's that? Is that Pospy over there in the background? Oh no, it's so yeah. So might not be the perfect game for me now, but I'm gonna play another one later. So who cares, right? So these are the rules. I was ranting a little bit. I don't know if I went beyond the question, but
love everything you said.
Yeah. But collaborative. Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Tibi.
No, I just think the collaborative entrepreneurship is larger than that, and in this discussion, I wanted us to kind of frame that concept, because I think we have to become teachers of a new wave of entrepreneurship. I see a lot of people coming to the lab that feel that they don't belong in the for-profit world, and they don't belong in a non-profit world. I think collaborative entrepreneurship captures this new imagination, and if we articulate it well, it puts words on this new generation's pains. All right, because they're suffering. They don't find themselves comfortable with the profit zone or the non-profit zone, and the world doesn't offer them an alternative. So they're just hanging there, and they can't decide what they're going to do with their ideas and how they're going to distribute, how they're going to contribute to the world in the end, right? So they're just hanging there, these people, and I think collaborative entrepreneurship, it's one of these things that captures their imagination, from my experience, because you're offering a for-benefit alternative to for-profit or non-profit, okay, and you're teaching a way to produce and distribute stuff that goes through sharing, goes through collaborating, which is more the values of the new generation, these millennium people. Yeah, so I guess I'm in a crusade to spread this meme of collaborative entrepreneurship and build a language around it and build a practice around it. Just want to know where you guys are with these kind of concepts, and if they resonate to you, or if you.
I'm gonna point at Alban for this to respond to you, because, well, actually, I'll just say, maybe speak for a room if that's allowed. But there are a number of people in here that are trying to figure this one out together. So, like, this whole event was co-created by a minimum of 3 collectives that have a flag, but then all the individuals that contributed as well in themselves. So yeah, we've been having a load of discussions around how the hell we work together while retaining separate identities, but together, and legal entities, and like how we keep the non-profit ethos while remaining sustainable and dealing with for-profit kind of endeavors, and all of that is just like, yeah, so this is really striking a nerve, I'm sure, for many people here. So I really appreciate all this, Tibi. And actually, on time-wise, we left Alban out, but I think he wanted to contribute a little bit to this talk as well, in relation, because we kind of screwed up the times and what. So I just wanted to point that he can probably have a perspective on that.
Thanks, Josh. I really like the way you just expressed that. Tibi, this is, yes, we're trying to support your cause as well. So I have a lot of questions. I also want to maybe express a little bit where those questions are coming from, which sort of relates with my presentation that I wanted to make. So before I make the questions, I think you would put a lot of context to put why am I even asking those questions. So, and I'll go with one of those. I'll go explaining one of those collectives that Josh was mentioning, which is Rat Park, which I'm talking from right now. We're a community in Costa Rica. It's like a permaculture hackerspace, different non-hierarchically organized community. The reason we built this community was to carry a project that we call Our Movement, just a term that we called. And Our Movement has it's an organization, it's not a project. Our Movement has a lot of different projects. And one of those projects is called Our Design. And Our Design is a way to support commons-based peer production. That's actually the whole purpose of Our Design. It comes with many different projects within it, and Our Design, it's a repository of open source hardware design, sort of a Wikipedia of hardware design. I think we don't have this now. There's a hackerspaces.org wiki, just very not so good. It doesn't have enough content. So we want to create that one repository where if someone needs an open source hardware design, knows where to get it. That's just one aspect of it. The other aspect, now, bootstrapping such a repository takes a lot more than just creating a CAD-like storage space that allows that kind of possibility. In support of that, we have created a couple other projects, and one of those projects is called, I'll just go quickly into this now to move ahead faster. One of the Our Store, and Our Store, it's a place where commons-based can actually be sold. It's an e-commerce where these products can actually be listed.
You're breaking up. Can you repeat again the other projects that are related to our design, maybe?
Thanks, Ken. So just to put a little bit of context, Ken is also, we're on this project together. So whenever you feel like I'm breaking up, you can just continue and just kind of gives me a heads up. So we're mindful of their time. And so our design has an ecosystem of tools that we want to support our design. And one of those tools is called our store, which is a marketplace. I don't even want to call it, it's a bit, it doesn't really justify it as a marketplace, but technically it is a marketplace. It's sort of an Amazon or Alibaba that only things that get produced in this manner are listed. And this is sort of giving a competitive advantage to these type of production. Another aspect of it is our NFTs. It's kind of funny because it stands for non-for-profit business. And this is sort of what I'm relating. I'm kind of connecting a bit with a question. Our NFPs or our co-ops, doesn't matter how we call it, it's a collection of different software, different tools that if some people take, let's say a few of us want to start manufacturing something from our design, we can also take the tools that our co-op or our NFP offers to make our production easier, which is like payroll software, accounting software, and these would kind of be for free. They would completely be Commons owned tools, so kind of giving even further a competitive advantage to common-based peer production. The third, there's another mechanism that is I think is very important, is our bank. Please don't mind the names. You know, it's our way to kind of express these things in a simple way to not, yeah. So our bank is a commercial bank that actually funds very particularly common-based peer production at an interest rate that is more competitive than what you can find in a commercial world, commercial banking. So kind of these ecosystems together, they would create a very competitive edge for someone actually trying to manufacture in this manner. This is pretty much what our design is made out of. Now I'm going to go to questions to relate to what I wanted to, that maybe Tibi can reply to. So yeah, generally, what do you think of this, our design thing? I guess I'll make another remark about NFPs. Because a lot of people misunderstand what a non-for-profit business is. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have profit. It means that it doesn't allocate profit privately. So it needs to allocate profit for a mission. So a public company, in a state-owned public company, it's an NFP. So it's making profit. It's making tons of profit. It's just not giving that profit to individuals or groups, but it's using that profit for whatever, social programs, roads, and whatever that might be. Most cooperatives are as well not-for-profit businesses. They make profit, but you have a mission about it. So personally, I think that NFPs are a way to create some sort of post-capitalist world, productions world. So this is where I'm coming about NFPs, and this is a long topic. If anyone is interested on this, I think Donnie McClurkin and Jennifer Hinton, they have a book called How on Earth, and they come from a post-growth institute, and they've done a lot of research on this topic and make a very strong case about what I'm trying to make in not the best way possible. So now I'll go to the question. I'm interested in how can we actually incentivize complex design, because it's easy to imagine how, chairs, some people can upload how to make chairs, some people can upload how to make tables and soaps and such things. But when it comes to, I don't know, nuclear engineering or some very some R&D that would require a lot of investment, research on. And this is a very interesting topic because where do they get the money from? Currently, this is usually funded by public funded. but usually they do it for the purpose of actually supporting their businesses. So they kind of, the incentive is not fully there when you're really opening it for anyone else to use in the world. So this is one of the questions. What's your opinion on this incentivization? And another topic question in Sensorica is, how does Sensorica actually keep track of value? Because it's NRP and OVM, and it's not so easy. I know you understand, but it's not so easy to kind of keep track of that value. And I'm curious, what's your thoughts on that topic? Sorry for a long rant, and I hope my video didn't break too much.
Yeah, well, it's quite complex. The plan is pretty. I mean, you can build a village with that, right? You're thinking broader than we are here, because you're not just thinking about entrepreneurship. You're thinking about how to create a whole system that can generate a living for people in it, right? And how to also, what I sense from what you were saying is that you're also trying to start changing your environment around your entrepreneurial activities. I was talking about the incompatibility between the market and Sensorica, and the mechanisms that we have generated to sort of interface with the system. And you could say that there's a lot of mistrust in new organizations, misunderstanding of new organizations, and if we don't create these interfaces, we're seen as foreign objects. So the environment is toxic for organizations like Sensorica or like Bitcoin, right? Many people would like to see Bitcoin disappear tomorrow, the Bitcoin network or other cryptocurrencies, whatever. So we still live, these new organizations, we still live in a toxic world. So what I envision in the future is that we will start to modify the environment around us and create these larger bubbles, and then probably merge these bubbles. So from my understanding, is like you're already creating a bubble, and you're recreating some institutions, right, around your entrepreneurial activities to kind of create that sort of environment where you can evolve, right? Which is pretty good. It's much larger than what we do. And our strategy with this was, well, why don't we create a special economic zone here in Montreal? And we are talking to politicians from the federal government. Our closest ally today is the Minister of Justice in Canada. So he believes in what we do, but we haven't been able to fund this project yet. It's been in the works for the past 3 months. Last meeting was 2 weeks ago. And so this is the Minister of Justice that really believes in what we do, and wants to create this special economic zone in Montreal where we set up a bunch of physical spaces and like labs like Sensorica that are different vocation. Maybe there's a hacker space, a biohacking space, a wet lab, whatever, a green space, a co-working space, a bunch of them like this, and connect them together with IT infrastructure so that they actually we build a critical mass, and from that critical mass and diversity we plug into the normal economy, but we're in this bubble, right, where the government is not going to jump on us, hey, where's our taxes, your accounting practices are not good, and all that. So this is the way we want to do it, is from the talking to the government, hey, you know what, give us a square here, and we're going to play in it, right? That's the way we approach it, and then hope that if we take roots in one particular zone in Montreal, where we can have to spread from there in others across the city and in other regions. So this is our tactic, right? I suppose you went to Costa Rica because it's also a less toxic environment for what you're doing, maybe culturally and politically. So it looks like we're trying to find weak spots in the system where we can find a little crack and take roots there, right? It's like sometimes you see a tree growing on a rock, with its roots embedded in the cracks. And so this is the kind of things we're trying to do. Yeah. And then, so it's pretty good. I think there's a parallel here. We just have a different tactic, but I think we're going in the same direction. We haven't thought about banks and financial systems and all that. Although we think crypto is it's the mechanism of exchange that is most suitable to what we do. Because if you have 1,000 contributors to a project and you want to give them their reward, it's in a long tail distribution, you might have some big contributors and a lot of small contributors. So you would have to break payments into small. You have to break the payment process into small payments and distribute them. So crypto, it's better for that than going through banks. It's faster, it's more reliable, it's it's divisible into whatever micro tokens. So I think that's the future. Now the question was, how do you track value? Is that what you're saying? How do you track value? The next question was, how do you track? Well, yes. So again, value, it's not something that we track. So I'm just going to do a language adjustment there. It's not a physical thing that walks that we can follow and track it. But what we can do is build history. Okay, it's build history. So, in my opinion, I think will replace currencies in the future because currencies have this problem, which is that they have no memory. You give me $5. I don't know. Maybe you killed somebody and took this $5. How do I know? The game we're supposed to believe in society is that if you get $5 in your hand, it's because you worked for it. Okay, that's what capitalism tells us, right? So be a good man, go to work, or a woman, go to work, and you're gonna get, and then you can go buy your candies. What capitalism doesn't tell us is that you can get this $5 from stealing and bribing and doing all sorts of negative things. And then society has created these other mechanisms: the justice system, the police. So we're policing our economy, because we know that money have no memory. So when I get $5 from somebody, I don't know how they got it from. So we need this policing in place. So there's this, we created currencies which before they used to be on clay tablets. The Sumerians, they there used to be memory. On clay tablets, it's memory. It's how many cows you have, how many chickens you have, who did you give a cow to. It's memory put on clay tables. And then from that, we abstracted currency, and that helped us build empires because you can use it to concentrate wealth and move wealth very fast. Okay, it's like materializing value in a way, but so it's very effective, and we built all this wealth based on this mechanism, which is cool. But it has its problems, right? It has no memory. So I think in the future we're going to go back to the clay tables, but instead of the information being put on clay, it'll be put on the internet, right? So everybody has access to it in real time, easily, and you can have some AI systems that just go through it and advise you the best way to engage. So I think we need memories. And this is what we're trying to do with Sensorica. Okay, so we don't want to create another currency. What we want to create is build memory about everyone's activity, and then you go back and say, well, maybe it's us individuals go back and figure it out and say, hey, okay, I'll give you. I like what you did. I don't just want to steal your idea because I think your brain is more important than that. So I'm gonna give you an offer you cannot refuse. Okay, because I want you on the project. The idea is cool, but I want you on the project. So based on your history, you convinced me that you're good. So I'm gonna make you an offer you cannot refuse. So this is how you use history to get somebody's participation. The labor market is, oh, you're an engineer. How much experience you have? Well, your price is this much. Here's the money. You come to work for me. Okay, that's the transaction, the normal transaction that we find. So you might not know anything about that guy. Now more and more you go on GitHub and say, oh, this is what he does. Okay, cool. He's better than the other guy. So we do have memory now. We can find information through social media. But before it used to be just a passport, right? Here's my passport. Here's my diploma, and this is what I'm worth on the market. But anyway, so in Sensorica, we just want to say, show me what you've done, and we'll figure out how to reward you. And you can automate that. You can automate that. It doesn't mean that it's perfect, and automation is just to make things more efficient and more fluid. But they will not. We should not expect it to be perfect. It's the way it is, right? So it's algorithms, But here's an example that we're going to do here at the lab. How we're going to implement that. So let's talk concretely, right? You can do that tomorrow. If you only can do this tomorrow, you can use history tomorrow to reward somebody with something. So if you come to the Sensorica lab and you say, I want to use the lab for 2 days, and we're going to say, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to create something for this community, create something open source? And if you say, well, no, I'm just going to work on my project. Okay, so let's find some reciprocity. Let's find some reciprocity. You cannot just come here and extract, right? So let's find some reciprocity. So using the lab for today, let's say if you look outside, the market value is maybe, I don't know, let's say $50 per day, right? So if you use it for 2 days, it will be $100. Okay, so this is how you would price stuff based on the market as a reference. But what else can you say is, who are you? Okay, so you say, okay, my name is X. Check my Facebook page. And I say, oh, cool. So you have a lot of friends. You're a hardware developer, nice. So a lot of people. You have a lot of influence in the network that is relevant to us. Why don't you put a Facebook post on your wall saying, today and tomorrow I'm going to be working from the Sensorica lab, and this is pretty cool. Okay, so now what I'm asking is, to establish reciprocity, what I'm asking is not just give me money. It's use your social reputation as a token, as an exchange, as a means of exchange to get access to the lab. Okay, so we don't have to transact everything through money. Okay, so we can say, fine, you want to use your lab, you don't want to pay money, but you have social reputation. You can have an impact on our community by just posting something on your Facebook page. And how do I make that decision? Well, based on the history that I see, based on your Facebook wall, based on your profile. Okay, so you can implement that today. Now it's a little bit, cumbersome because I can offer that to anybody. Okay, because the impact on our community of a post on a wall, it's not the same for everybody. So, but it's time consuming, right? We cannot do the transaction within the next 15 seconds. So what you can imagine in the near future is having just an application that scans the profile of Sensorica. Okay, so it's a lab about electronics and about software and about peer-to-peer. Okay, cool. So we profile that. And then we profile this individual. Is there a match in terms of propagating information or doing some advertising? So the algorithm can tell you, yeah, cool. There's this amount of whatever, how you want to quantify it, of match. Okay, so that could be done in 15 seconds, as fast as you can pass your credit card to pay $100 to use the lab, right? So we can do this today. We can start practicing it without even having these algorithms, okay, that evaluate the benefit of a Facebook post for the Sensorica lab, just by us humans, trying to figure it out, eyeball it, So this is one example, but there's so much more that we can do today, And notice that here we're not talking about exchanging through currency. We're just reestablishing mutual benefits by through other means. You see, based on history, all right, based on your Facebook profile or based on the amount of collaboration that you have done into one project. And this can be federated. That's why Holochain is so important. It can be federated. So within a community, we have these projects and they have history, and your community have projects and have history. And then we can have an interpretation of these histories. And then if we can access everybody's history, well, this is how things start flowing among communities, among Sensorica, between Sensorica and whatever other organization.
Beautiful, Tibi. Thank you for that information overload. I just want to jump in here, say we're about 7 minutes over time for Severin's session. I also saw him getting knocked on the door a second ago. Is he there? Yeah, it is. Yeah, cool. So just to say, yeah, nice stuff.
Sorry, guys.
Yes, so shall I take over or